Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm going to start off by saying it outright. You saw the title, and uh, great. Now I'm just going to go ahead and explain what it is. There are two reasons for the title, why I'm saying what I'm saying. The first one is that it depends on the cultural and racial background of the non-black half of a couple. The second reason that I've said what I've said is that it also depends on the gender of the black half of the couple. That's real. You see, I've said before that interracial marriage is still ruled by white supremacy. And this is a previous video I recorded, and I may have gone more in depth, but it's an old video and a lot of you would not find it unless you specifically typed in black heart, interracial marriages, white supremacy. And that video is long. I might be able to go ahead and make this one shorter. See, I heard a black woman recently say, and I don't have permission to say her name on here anyway, but I heard a black woman recently say that she's not black first, she's black woman first. And that's why she's really not against interracial dating for black women. First off, let me attack the definition of interracial dating and the difference between the definition that black men have and the difference in the definition that black women have. When black men think of interracial dating, that means that any racial combination is possible. Now, some of us might disagree as to whether Japanese, Chinese couples are an interracial couple. I don't think that that's interracial. I believe that's interlinguistic and cultural. Racially, they are the same. They don't like for you to tell them that, but they are the same. They know from DNA studies of Japanese that between 12 to 10,000 years ago, their ancestors came from what is now mainland Japan and went to the mainland China, and went to the island that is now Japan. They're the same race, different languages. That's it. That's what happened. But that's neither here nor there. If an Ecuadorian who is mestizo marries a Mexican that is mestizo, that's an international marriage, but interracial, I wouldn't say that. Some others would. What I would say though, is that when it comes to black folks, we stand out. That's it. But when black women think of interracial dating, it is always black woman, white man, black man, white woman. They're always thinking of someone white. Always white. When black women interracially date, it's always the white guy. It's not another man of color. It's the white guy. If it is another man of color, he's got to be really rich. Now, the funny thing is the white guy doesn't have to be for black women. I know this without any studies done on this. I know this. And when studies are done, they're going to prove me right. Mark my words. When black women do date other men of color that are not black and are not white, those men have to have a lot more money than even a white guy does to date them, let alone marry them. This is what bothers me about it, the hypocrisy. No, you got black men out here interracially dating, and quiet as it's kept, as much as I don't knock black men for interracially dating, I will knock anyone black when they go for a white person, straight up. Why are you going to do that? You might find an Eastern European, and some of them are racist and some aren't. They tend to differ. But when you go for that Western European white and their descendants in Canada, North America, Latin America for that matter, Australia, New Zealand, you go for them Western European white folk. What you doing that for? You know they're going to divorce rape you or get you thrown in jail. That's what happens. This is going on. This has been proven. We know that they're dangerous. Why would any of us of either gender go for that? Not necessarily someone else of color. It depends on their cultural background, like I've said, and what their people's attitudes are towards us. But why you gonna go for that white person, that Western European especially? He's Italian, that's a Western European. They count themselves as white. Their attitudes towards you are usually not that favorable. That's the issue. That's what I got a problem with. I want to know this. Now, when a black woman won't touch an Arab man, I get it. I understand. I understand why Janet Jackson was only going to marry that rich dude from Qatar, I believe. I believe he's from Qatar. The billionaire. Her contract said if she stayed 5 years, she got half. She stayed 5 years and a few months. Y'all saw the meme. Y'all know the story. I understand why he had to have all that money to marry her. It's because at the end of the day, Arabs who are partially black still don't count black folks as equal in marriage. That's why. They count us as automatically being less attractive than every other race, even though they come from us. They don't even hate us. You're not ever in danger living in an Arab Gulf country. They never harm you or oppress you, pay you less, nothing. But when it comes to marriage, you're automatically seen as less attractive because you're dark. Arabs are trying to breed themselves to become whiter. That's the truth of the matter. He would not have married Janet Jackson if she was a regular African-American woman, and she would not have married him if he wasn't as rich as he was. So, we get it at the end of the day. But when the regular, I would say even when a rich Arab man comes to marry a black woman, we need to step in and we need to do what they would do if you go to marry one of their women. Step in and say, hold up, slow your roll. Now, we may not hate you, but you're not equal to us. How could you say that? Well, because you believe we're not equal to you. If you want to marry this relative of ours, this daughter, sister, aunt, mother of ours, then this is what has to happen. One of our male relatives who's black gets to marry one of your female relatives, and the dowries in both cases are the same, one for one or none for none. If you can't accept this equality, then we're not equal. You said it yourself, we're not equals, so we're not equals. So why y'all get married? Well, my family would not accept. Well, then get the F out of here then. What you doing asking us for our daughter and your family wouldn't accept one of our sons? You see, that's because that's how Arabs are. You got to deal with them as they are. So that's why all interracial couplings are not the same. When a black person marries an Arab, it's not the same as, well, let's say when a black person marries a conscious mestizo from Latin America. That's different. Now, when a black person from the West marries a black Arab, that could be no problem. But see, you got to look at the culture of the person. And this leads me to the next point, the point I already stated along with this one. If black women really felt that it's just all about who you love, then why the hell do none of them fall in love with Filipino men or Malaysian men or Indonesian men? Those are the men who have the least problems with black people as a whole. They don't take issue with you being black. Well, they don't have the money. Well, black men don't have the money in many cases. That's how the system was set up. That's what white supremacy and colonization do on a global scale. They impoverish non-white men, especially black men. Well, they're not American. Maybe they just want me for a green card. Maybe, maybe not. You got a bunch of white guys that are willing to marry you for a green card. You got some wealthy Arab dudes that would marry you for a green card. What's the issue? Who the hell do you think you are? Because at the end of the day, the same reasons for which they would say they wouldn't marry a Filipino or an Indonesian or a Malaysian, they'd still marry the white dude for. In spite of these things, they might still marry that white dude. A lot of black women don't swirl. And then they don't want to swirl. And my hat goes off to them. When I say swirl, I'm talking about specifically black and white, not black and something else. But you got more and more of them who will start to say, yes, swirling sisterhood. Yes, it's on. But they're overlooking in white guys the same things they don't overlook in black men. And see, a lot of them don't tell you this, brothers. But when these sisters swirl, for one, these white dudes have a problem controlling their damn mouths in the bed. Frances Cress Welsing talked about this. Number two, they're getting the white guys that white women wouldn't want. They're settling for the white guys white women wouldn't want, or who feel like white women wouldn't want them. Yeah, that's true. And number three, the things about brothers, the things in a black man they wouldn't tolerate, they tolerate from that white dude. They settle for that. Black man can't be in the comic books, as an example. Angry Man pointed this out, and he was astutely right in this. I don't have permission to use his name, but I got to give him credit where it's due. Angry Man said that a black man can't be in the comic books, he can't be in a science fiction, he can't be into certain things and be attractive to black women. White guy can come along and be into those same things, and that black woman will be into him. Then, quiet as is kept is something else too. See, when these sisters get with these dudes, they still want black men. So when they're getting their financial needs met, get them a black man on the side. That's the other truth of the matter. And I've had to sit up and say to quite a few black men and black women, there was a time I had to say, black men, a lot of you were hypocritical. The time I used to have to say that. And I have to say, you tolerate certain things in other women you don't tolerate in black women, especially if she's dark-skinned and she's got strong hair. I used to have to say that because I observed it, and I really thought that was the case. And then I came to realize that actually, to a certain extent, that was on its way out the door. There were guys from certain small towns that would tolerate a feisty Latina, but they didn't want a black woman to have her own opinion. Those guys are played out. They were there, they existed, but they're played out. They're single now. Or they paid for that hypocrisy. They've been called out for it, lost money for it in a divorce rape or something like that. But now what I'm seeing is the flip side. Now what I'm seeing is brothers who will sit up and say, you know what, the Mexican women, they're ghetto as hell too. I'm not dealing with that either. I didn't want no ratchet sister. I ain't dealing with no ratchet Mexican. I'm done with that. I've heard brothers say that. And I've heard him say, if I like Latina women, she ain't going to be Mexican, or she's going to be from the educated family of Mexicans. The educated classes. None of that ratchet ghetto mess. No gang banging, excess makeup, none of that. I didn't want a sister. I ain't tolerating no Mexican. I've actually heard brothers point this out. But see, with sisters, I'm still waiting for sisters to say, wait a minute, hold up now. We sat up and told brothers that they can't be no lames, and we've misused that word with them. And we're sitting up here tolerating it when it comes to a white dude. What the hell's wrong with us? It's the money. We're selling ourselves for money and then sitting up here and demanding that we not be treated like an object for purchase and sale. I hate to say it, but that's exactly what's going on right now. There is a hypocrisy to the swirling sisterhood right off the bat. And how do you know that there's a hypocrisy to it? Well, the hypocrisy goes even further than that. I mean, let's call it what it is. You got some intelligent sisters who still sit there and listen to Cynthia G and give her credibility. I haven't listened to her. I would be considered in no position to judge anything she said because I never listened to her, right? I've still heard snippets. Other people have played clips of what she has said with the context included. And I knew what she was saying. She don't like educated lames. She wants a hyper macho man. She's so paranoid about a black man being a damn pushover that she goes for the most irresponsible block street dude. She just happened to get one that was so busy on YouTube that he ain't out there shooting nothing. But he was still a serial baby mama, and she decided to join the line. Flying out to see him when she had options with guys somewhere near her. And the thing is, her face is cute. I ain't with the weed, but the face was cute. So she had options where she lived. I don't get it. At the end of the day, like I said before, the problem is no longer black men. It may have been at one point, but black men don't get away with anything. Now the problem is black women's mate selection criteria. And it is not simply because they didn't want me when I was younger. Actually, they did. But I was the guy you had to have your crush. I was the guy on whom you had to keep your crush a secret. Because you'd be embarrassed if people found out you wanted him. I was that dude. But it's not even about me. So before sisters say, well, you just mad because sisters ain't want you, that's not really the case. I'm upset. Yes, I am upset. But it's mostly because your mate selection criteria is going to pull the race back. It's going to make the stereotypes truth. You either want the white dude because he got the money, and you feel like he's dominated everybody else when in fact he's very insecure by his own admission. So you go out and create a kid with him, and then that kid's going to have opportunities. Or you want the chocolate brother, but he's got to be hyper macho and out there in them streets intimidating people. So then you have his kid. And so what you're doing is you're actually going to make the stereotype true that the little light-skinned kids are not ghetto, and that the little dark-skinned full black kids are ghetto as hell and ratchet. You're trying to make the stereotype true with your mate selection criteria. In the meantime, you got black men ain't mixed. Black men coming from nice families, even if they're in the hood, in or outside the hood, coming from nice families with a nice upbringing and taking the nice things from their upbringing, and you don't want them dudes. That's what's going on. And this leads to the third point I'm going to make, but I'm going to make that in another video. And that is going to be the black communities that we have. It's no longer a black community. The only salvation for the black community is actually going to be for one community and not the other. Next video. All right. Assalamu alaikum. I hope this was of help and benefit.